The Silent Guardians. The observation deck aboard the Earth Defense Force flagship Vigilant offered Commander Ilara Chen an unobstructed view of Saturn's rings. The massive vessel hung in the shadow of the gas giant, hidden from conventional detection systems. Like most of humanity's military assets, the Vigilant existed in the space between knowledge and rumor as far as the Galactic Alliance was concerned. For nearly a century, Earth had maintained what outsiders called diplomatic isolation. Humans allowed minimal trade, exchanged basic scientific knowledge, and politely declined deeper integration into galactic society. The Alliance's diplomatic envoys were received cordially, their questions answered vaguely, and their invitations to join committees and councils respectfully declined. Let them think us primitive, isolationist, or paranoid. The truth was far more complicated. "Commander, the Stellar Cartography Team requests your presence," announced Lieutenant Reeves through the ship's comm system. "They've confirmed the readings." Ilara's expression remained neutral, but her hands tightened on the railing. "Tell them I'm on my way." The corridors of the Vigilant hummed with activity as Ilara made her way to the research section. Crew members nodded respectfully, their faces betraying the tension that had permeated the ship over the past 72 hours. They all knew what confirmation would mean. Dr. Maya Santos stood at the center of the holographic projection when Ilara entered. The small woman's eyes were rimmed with red from sleepless nights, but her voice remained steady as she addressed the room. "There's no longer any doubt," she said, manipulating the three-dimensional star map with practiced gestures. "The anomaly we detected 3 months ago is now confirmed to be the harbinger." The hologram zoomed out to show a dark mass moving steadily through the void between star systems, leaving distortions in space-time behind it. It consumed matter, energy, and, based on their observations, even the fundamental fabric of reality. "Trajectory?" Ilara asked, already knowing the answer. "Unchanged. It will reach populated systems within 18 months, the nearest being Proxima Centauri." Ilara studied the projected path. "And the Alliance?" "Their detection systems aren't designed to observe these phenomena," replied Dr. Santos. "They won't see it coming until it's too late." The room fell silent as the implications settled over them. For generations, humanity had maintained its isolation for precisely this purpose, to prepare for a threat the rest of the galaxy couldn't or wouldn't acknowledge. "How confident are we in the Aegis Protocol?" Ilara asked. Admiral Kaito, who had been silently observing from the corner, stepped forward. The aging officer's face bore the wisdom and weariness of someone who had spent decades preparing for a moment he hoped would never come. "The simulations give us a 63% chance of success," he said, "but only if we have the full resources of the Alliance behind us. Alone, we're looking at less than 20%. Ilara nodded slowly. The moment they had all feared had arrived. Humanity would need to break its silence and reveal everything it had been hiding. "Prepare the diplomatic vessel," she ordered, "and inform the Security Council that Operation Disclosure is now active." "You understand what this means," Admiral Kaito said quietly. "Once we reveal ourselves." "I know," Ilara interrupted, "but we always knew this day might come. We've hidden our advancements, built our defenses in secret, and maintained our distance for one reason: to be ready when the Harbinger returned. If we stay silent now, there won't be a galaxy left to save." 3 days later, the Earth diplomatic vessel Emissary entered Alliance space without prior notification, requesting an emergency session of the Galactic Council. The unprecedented move sent shockwaves through diplomatic channels. In the century since first contact, humanity had never once requested a council gathering, much less an emergency session. The council chamber on Nexus Station was designed to accommodate representatives from all 27 species of the Alliance. The massive circular room featured elevated platforms arranged in concentric rings, with the speaking floor at the center. Ancient protocols dictated that emergency sessions could only be called for threats that endangered multiple worlds. High Counselor Vexalar of the Solteri, a being of crystalline appearance whose species had helped found the Alliance millennia ago, called the session to order. His resonant voice carried effortlessly across the chamber. "We recognize Commander Ilara Chen of Earth," he announced. "Who comes before the Council invoking the protocol of imminent peril? The floor is yours, Commander." Ilara stepped onto the speaker's platform, aware of the hundreds of alien eyes studying her with mixtures of curiosity, suspicion, and in some cases, thinly veiled contempt. Humanity's self-imposed isolation had bred resentment among some species. "Esteemed representatives of the Galactic Alliance," she began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. "For nearly a century, Earth has maintained its distance from full integration into your society. Today, I am authorized to explain why, and to warn you of a threat that concerns us all." She activated her data tablet, and the chamber's holographic system displayed the same dark mass the Vigilance science team had shown her. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. "We call it the Harbinger, a cosmic entity that exists partially outside our reality. It consumes everything in its path, matter, energy, even space-time itself, and it is approaching Alliance space." Councillor Gentle of the Arcturian Confederacy rose from his seat, his serpentine body swaying slightly. "These are serious claims, Commander. Why have Alliance sensors detected nothing of this supposed threat?" "Because your detection systems operate on conventional principles," Ilara replied. "The Harbinger exists partially in subspace. Standard sensors see nothing because there's nothing to see in normal space. And humans somehow possess technology to detect such phenomena," asked Ambassador Noor of the Pleiadian Collective, her tone skeptical. Ilara took a deep breath. This was the moment of truth. "Yes, we do." She activated another data stream, and the chamber filled with schematics of advanced technology, far beyond what humanity had ever acknowledged possessing. For 97 years, Earth has devoted its resources to preparing for the Harbinger's return. Shocked exclamations echoed throughout the chamber. The displayed technology was centuries beyond what humans had shared with the Alliance. "This is deception," shouted Representative Mokhtar of the Regelian Empire, his plasma-based form flaring bright with anger. "You have hidden your true capabilities while maintaining the pretense of a developing species." "We have," Ilara admitted calmly. "And we have done more than that." With another command, the holographic display changed to reveal massive defensive installations hidden throughout human-controlled space. Shield generators embedded in asteroids, weapons platforms disguised as research stations, fleets of advanced vessels concealed in nebula and gas giants. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Some representatives called for immediate sanctions against Earth. Others demanded explanations. A few sat in stunned silence. High Councillor Vexillor raised his crystalline appendages, calling for order. When the chamber finally quieted, he addressed Ilara directly. "Commander Chen, you realize that the unauthorized deployment of military assets in shared space is a violation of our most fundamental treaties." "I do," she replied without hesitation. "Just as I realize that revealing our deception may cost humanity whatever trust we've established. But the Harbinger gives us no choice. Alone, our defenses will fail. Together, we have a chance. Why should we believe anything you say now?" asked Ambassador Noor. Ilara nodded to her aide, who transmitted a new data package to the Council's systems. "These are the coordinates of our primary research facility in the Kuiper Belt. Send your scientists. Verify our findings, but do it quickly. We have 18 months before the Harbinger reaches populated systems." She looked around the chamber, meeting as many alien gazes as she could. Humanity's isolation was never about fear or distrust. It was about focus. Every resource we didn't share, every technology we kept hidden, every ship we built in secret, all of it was for this moment. We have spent a century preparing for a threat we prayed would never return. "And what do you propose now?" asked Vexillor, his crystalline form reflecting the chamber's lights in patterns that indicated deep concern. "An alliance," Ilara said simply. A true merging of our capabilities. Humanity offers everything we have. Our technology, our fleets, our research, to the common defense. In return, we need your resources, your shipyards, and your cooperation to implement the Aegis Protocol on a galactic scale. The Aegis Protocol, inquired Gentle. A defensive system designed specifically to counter the Harbinger, Ilara explained, displaying new schematics. It creates a quantum barrier that prevents the entity from accessing our spacetime. But implementing it requires resources beyond what Earth alone can provide. The council chamber grew silent as the representatives considered the implications. Humanity had deceived them for generations, yet now offered technologies that could save them all from a threat they hadn't even known existed. "We request 24 hours to verify your claims," Vexeler finally said. "If what you say is true, the council will reconvene to discuss this. Alliance." Ilara bowed slightly. "Thank you, High Counselor. But I must emphasize, every day spent in deliberation is a day lost in preparation." As she stepped away from the speaker's platform, Ilara felt the weight of history on her shoulders. Humanity had broken its long silence, revealed its secrets, and placed its fate in the hands of a council it had kept at arm's length for a century. Whether that decision would save the galaxy or doom it remained to be seen. When stars rise together, the observation deck of Nexus Station offered a panoramic view of the assembled fleet, the largest gathering of military vessels in the Alliance's history. Ships of every configuration hung in the void. The crystalline structures of Solteri vessels, the organic curves of Arcturian craft, the geometric precision of Pleiadian destroyers, and the sleek, darkened hulls of Earth's previously hidden armada. Ambassador Noor stood beside Ilara, her luminescent skin casting soft light in the dimmed room. 2 weeks had passed since Earth's revelations, and the Alliance's verification teams had confirmed humanity's warnings. The Harbinger was real, and it was coming. "I still don't understand," Noor said quietly. "How did humanity know about this threat when the rest of us remained blind to it?" Ilara hesitated before answering. "Some secrets remain difficult to share, even now. We encountered it before," she finally admitted. "Before we joined the galactic community. A smaller fragment of the same entity entered our solar system. The cost of driving it away was immeasurable." Understanding dawned in Noor's eyes. "The great silence in your historical records, the 50-year period where human advancements seemed to halt." "We weren't advancing technology for comfort or commerce," Ilara confirmed. "Everything was redirected toward defense and detection. When we finally joined the interstellar community, we discovered that no other species had encountered the Harbinger. We made a choice to prepare in secret rather than risk being dismissed as paranoid. A choice that may have saved us all," Noor acknowledged. "The integration of your quantum barrier technology with our fleet has proceeded faster than anyone expected." A chime sounded throughout the station, signaling the fleet's imminent departure. The first wave would establish defensive positions along the Harbinger's projected path, while research vessels gathered more data on the entity. "Commander Chen to the command center," came Admiral Cato's voice over the communication system. Ilara nodded to Noor. "It begins." The command center of Nexus Station had been transformed into a joint operations facility. Representatives from all 27 species worked at control stations, coordinating the unprecedented multilateral response. At the center of it all stood the Strategic Council. Admiral Caito of Earth, High Commander Vrel of the Arcturians, Fleet Matriarch Selene of the Pleiadians, and Supreme Tactician Kavor of the Rigelians. "The Harbinger has accelerated," reported Dr. Santos from her science station. "New projections indicate first contact will occur near the Proxima mining colony in 72 hours. "Evacuation status?" asked Kavor. "Underway, but unlikely to be complete before contact," answered a Rigelian officer. "Approximately 2,000 civilians will still be on station." Ilara studied the tactical display. "The Vigilant and Phoenix battle groups can deploy to cover the evacuation. We'll need Arcturian sensor arrays to get real-time data on the Harbinger's approach. High Commander Vrel nodded his serpentine head. Agreed. My vessels are already moving into position. The next 3 days passed in a blur of preparation. Across the galaxy, planets implemented emergency protocols. Defense systems were brought online. Citizens prepared for possible evacuation. The fear of the unknown hung over everything, tempered only by the united response of species that had often found more reasons for conflict than cooperation. When the Harbinger finally appeared at the edge of the Proxima system, it defied easy description. The massive entity seemed to bend space around itself, appearing as a void against the stars. Not merely dark, but an absence of everything, including light. It moved with impossible fluidity, stretching tendrils of nothingness toward the mining colony. Aboard the Vigilant, now serving as the forward command vessel, Ilara watched the entity's approach with grim recognition. Just like the records described, she murmured. Deploy quantum anchors according to the Aegis protocol. Earth vessels moved with precision, taking positions that seemed random to observers unfamiliar with the defensive strategy. Each ship activated specialized equipment that began generating quantum fields designed to prevent the Harbinger from fully manifesting in normal space. Quantum network at 60% capacity, reported Lieutenant Reeves. We need more coverage on the southern vector. Arcturian vessels moving to position, confirmed High Commander Vrel over the comlink. Quantum amplifiers online. The Harbinger paused, as if sensing the resistance. Its form contracted briefly before suddenly expanding in all directions. Tendrils of void reached toward the evacuation vessels, which were still ferrying civilians from the mining colony. Transport Gamma 7 is being pulled off course, shouted a tactical officer. Their beam drawn toward the entity. Rigelian interceptors, provide cover, ordered Kivor. Earth vessels, maintain the quantum barrier. The Harbinger's tendrils wrapped around the transport ship, its engines straining against the pull. Screams echoed over the emergency channel as the civilians aboard witnessed the void consuming the space around them. Without warning, a Pleiadian cruiser broke formation and accelerated toward the endangered transport. "This is Captain Ilaris of the Starlight," came a determined voice over the comm. Implementing emergency protocol Sunburn. The Pleiadian vessel positioned itself between the transport and the Harbinger, then initiated a controlled overload of its quantum drive. Energy cascaded across the ship's hull in brilliant waves of light, forcing the Harbinger's tendrils to recoil. The transport broke free, engines firing at maximum as it fled toward safety. "Starlight, get clear," Ilara ordered, seeing the readings from the Pleiadian vessel. "Your core is destabilizing." "Negative, Command," replied Captain Ilaris calmly. "Someone needs to hold this position until the transport reaches minimum safe distance." On the tactical display, the Pleiadian ship's signature flickered as its systems reached critical levels. The Harbinger contracted again, seeming to focus its attention on this new threat. Ilara made a split-second decision, Vigilant, moving to intercept. "Prepare to deploy the phase shift prototype." Admiral Kato's voice cut through the comm channel. "Commander Chen, the phase shift hasn't been field tested." "The risk is necessary," Ilara interrupted. "If we lose the Starlight, the quantum network will have a critical gap." The Vigilant accelerated toward the endangered Pleiadian vessel, its advanced engines pushing the massive ship to speeds that seemed impossible for something its size. As they approached, Ilara activated the ship's experimental system, technology so new that even Earth's allies hadn't been briefed on its existence. Phase shift engaging in 3, 2, 1. The Vigilant's outline blurred as the prototype activated, allowing the ship to partially exist in the same domain as the Harbinger itself. It was humanity's most closely guarded technological achievement, the ability to operate in subspace. The effect was immediate. The Harbinger's tendrils recoiled from both the Vigilant and the Starlight, as if encountering something unexpected and dangerous. The entity's entire form contracted, pulling away from the defensive line. "It's retreating," breathed Lieutenant Reeves in disbelief. "No," Ilara corrected grimly. "It's adapting. All vessels, maintain positions. Deploy the final phase of the Aegis Protocol." Across the defensive line, ships of all species activated the synchronized quantum barrier. Energy fields connected between vessels, creating a web of light that surrounded the Harbinger. The entity struggled against the containment, its form undulating as it sought escape. "Barrier stabilizing," reported Dr. Santos. "Containment at 87% and holding." For several tense minutes, the combined fleet maintained the barrier as the Harbinger tested its limits. Then, gradually, the entity began to compress inward, its vast form condensing. "What's happening?" asked Kavor. "Is it breaking through?" "No," Ilara replied, watching the readings with cautious optimism. "The quantum barrier is forcing it to maintain consistent dimensional phase. It can't exist fully in our reality without conforming to our physics." "And that means?" prompted Vrel. Dr. Santos answered, excitement evident in her voice despite her exhaustion. "It means it's becoming something we can fight conventionally. Something with mass and energy that follows the laws of our universe." As if confirming her analysis, the Harbinger's form solidified into something more tangible, still dark and ominous, but now with definable boundaries. Sensor readings that had previously shown nothing now detected energy signatures and material composition. "All vessels, target the central mass," ordered Admiral Kaido. Coordinated strike pattern echo. The combined fleet opened fire, weapons of various technologies converging on the now vulnerable entity. Pleiadian energy beams, Rigelian plasma torpedoes, Arcturian quantum disruptors, and Earth's advanced particle weapons struck simultaneously. The Harbinger convulsed under the assault, its newly materialized form unable to disperse back into subspace due to the quantum barrier. For the first time in recorded history, the entity that had consumed entire star systems found itself trapped and vulnerable. "It's working," Ilara said quietly, almost afraid to believe it. Continue the assault. The battle raged for hours as the Harbinger fought against both the quantum containment and the combined firepower of the fleet. Gradually, the entity's resistance weakened. Its form contracted further, energy readings declining steadily. "Final strike package ready," reported Fleet Matriarch Celine. "All vessels in position." "Execute," ordered Admiral Kaido. A synchronized barrage struck the weakened entity from all sides. For a moment, the Harbinger's form flared with brilliant light as its energy pathways overloaded. Then, with a final pulse that temporarily disrupted sensors across the fleet, it collapsed in on itself and vanished. Silence fell across the command channel as everyone waited for confirmation. "Scanning," reported Dr. Santos, her fingers flying across her console. After a tense minute, she looked up with tears in her eyes. No subspace signature detected, no dimensional distortion. "It's gone." Cheers erupted across the fleet as the news spread. Ships that had maintained tight formation for hours finally broke ranks, running systems diagnostics and assessing damage. The Pleiadian vessel Starlight, though severely damaged, had survived thanks to the Vigilance intervention. In the days that followed, joint scientific teams analyzed the data from the encounter. The Harbinger had been destroyed, but questions remained. Had it been the only one of its kind? Could there be others in the vast emptiness between galaxies? The uncertainty ensured that the alliance formed in crisis would continue. 1 month after the battle, representatives from all 27 species gathered on Earth, the first time the planet had hosted such an event. In the historic United Nations Assembly Hall in New York, now expanded to accommodate alien visitors, High Counselor Vexillar addressed the gathered delegates. "Today marks a new chapter in our shared history, the crystalline being announced. The threat we faced together has been vanquished, but in the process, we discovered something perhaps more valuable: true cooperation across our differences." He turned toward Ilara, who stood with Admiral Kaido and the Earth delegation. "Humanity kept secrets from us, prepared for war in silence, and hid their true capabilities. Some might see this as reason for distrust. I see it as the reason we all stand here today." Ambassador Noor stepped forward, her luminescent form glowing softly in the chamber. "The Pleiadian Collective proposes the formation of a permanent joint defense initiative, with Earth as a founding member. No more secrets, no more isolated preparation. Together, we will face whatever challenges the universe presents." The proposal received unanimous approval. As the assembly concluded, Ilara found herself on the building's terrace, looking out over New York Harbor, where vessels from a dozen worlds now floated alongside Earth ships. Admiral Kato joined her, his weathered face relaxed for the first time in years. "Your parents would be proud," he said quietly. "They always believed this day would come." Ilara nodded, remembering the scientists who had first detected the Harbinger's approach generations ago and set humanity on its path of secret preparation. They believed in humanity's potential, but they also believed we wouldn't have to face these challenges alone forever. "And now we won't," Kaito replied, gesturing toward the diverse group of officials and officers mingling inside. "The silence is broken, Commander. It's time for humanity to truly join the galaxy." As alien vessels and Earth ships patrolled side by side in the solar system's outer reaches, a new era had begun, one where humanity's long isolation had transformed into leadership in a more united galaxy, ready to face whatever mysteries the universe might still hold.